All right, hey guys, OFD checking in here, and today we've got a new watch from Bulova. Now, this is one of their new releases from what they're calling the Surfboard Archive Series watches, and these are really, really cool. They're going to have three different, or they do have three different variations of this particular watch, and they do have a special edition watch that's running a Sellita quartz chronograph movement in it. I'll talk a little bit about that one once we get rolling here. So these watches are kind of a throwback to the original Devil Divers that we know from Bulova back in the 1970s. And they're really done spectacular. I think that Bulova really reached back, like they say, into the archives and created a really, really cool looking watch. This is a chronograph quartz watch. This is run the Miyota 6S21 movement. It's a great movement, really nice tried and true movement, works really well. If you do get one and your second hand is not aligned perfectly with the 60-second mark, don't worry about it. It's really easy to adjust on these movements and get that lined up just perfectly, so you can always adjust that if need be. But it's a spectacular watch and definitely a throwback to the 1970s. Now, this was a time when it was kind of during the quartz crisis, during that revolution, when quartz watches were becoming so popular. Now, the Bulova chronographs back then were tried and true, still an actual mechanical chronograph. They were, I think, running the Valjoux 7733 hand winding chronograph movement. But it's funny, back then there didn't exist a electronic or a quartz chronograph movement. And I'll bet you back then, if it was available, it probably would have been used by Bulova, back in the day, just because quartz was such a standout thing in the time. Now, they have three different models. This is the 98A253. They have a 252, 253, and a 254 models. Different colorways available on those watches, but all done super well. Now I'm going to go ahead and fire up the chronograph here and get this going so you guys can check out the size of this watch, not including the pushers. Comes in at just under 40 from side to side, not including the pushers. From lug tip to lug tip, it's a very comfortable 46.8 millimeters, and to the top of the sapphire crystal, it's coming in at under 15 millimeters. A little thick because you have a chronograph movement, really not that bad at all. You have a 20 millimeter lug opening on the watch also. Taking a closer look at the dial, you guys will see, get it zoomed in here, you guys will see this classic tachymeter style going around the inner chapter ring here, or on the dial itself. You have a bidirectional bezel on this watch, which is really cool. And if you guys will notice, it's actually a countdown bezel. So it doesn't work the same as your standard bezel. I mean, it really does work the same way. I mean, if you want to measure 20 minutes, you actually set the 20-minute mark at your minute hand and let it run down, and you've hit 20 minutes when you get to your dot here. So it's just basically a countdown style bezel. Works really good with a chronograph function, and it's very traditional that it's bidirectional in these old style watches. The indices are applied on the watch all the way around. They have little lume right up the center, and they're polished on either side, so they're really nicely done. Love the boldness of that chronograph, that red hand for the chronograph. Go ahead and get that started so you guys can see that clean movement of that that seconds hand for the chronograph there. It does mimic a mechanical watch in that fashion. You can see that moving. It's not that hard tick of a standard quartz. You do have that on the running seconds there. You can see right at the 3 o'clock subdial. Over here at the 9 o'clock subdial, that's going to count your minutes for the chronograph function all the way up to an hour. Now, taking a look at this dial layout with these subdials, it's pretty obvious why these are being called the Surfboard series. The way they've got the dial cut out, and that is actually stepped. I should have shown you that when I had it zoomed in, but that's actually stepped a little bit, and that steps down to that surfboard style center there that holds your subdials in it. Very nicely done dial. It's a little bit tough to catch here in the light, but it is a brushed blue on the dial, so it's really beautifully done. Pretty much everything about this watch is just spectacular. I absolutely love it. Taking a look at the side of the case, you do have a signed crown there. As you can see, the Bulova signed crown on the middle crown. Pushers are nicely polished. Polishing, along the sides of the case, brushing on top. Like I said, 20 millimeter lug openings. Just a really neat looking watch overall. The Tropic rubber strap that it comes on is very nice. It's thick. It's a little bit stiff, but I've been wearing this watch for a few days and it's really starting to break in nicely. Double push button clasp here for your butterfly assembly. Go ahead and undo that. What did I do here? Oh, I got to push the button, dummy. So you can see the assembly inside of there. Very nicely done. Clean. Works really well. You have a lot of adjustment on this strap, as you can see. And taking a look at the case back, it gives us the Bulova. It's pretty clean and simple. Lets you know this has sapphire crystal. Water resistance to 200 meters, guys, which I think is great with those standard pushers. You don't have to worry about the screw down pushers. They're still getting 200 meters of water resistance out of this watch. So let's go ahead and pause it for just a second and get this watch on my 7-inch wrist, and then of course stick around for that loom shot. All right, guys, here is the watch on my 7-inch wrist, and this watch fits absolutely spectacular. Taking a look at the Tropic strap that the watch comes with. I didn't show you the signed buckle there with Bulova. Just really, really neat watches. So well done. Now, they do have the 3 quartz models out there available. What I mentioned in the beginning was they do have a automatic version that's running Solida chronograph movement. Now, those are limited edition models, and they're going to set you back right around $3,000. Quite a bit of money, but they're absolutely beautiful. They come in a presentation case, a wooden presentation box with a very surf kind of feel logo on it and everything. But it's up to you whether you guys would want to spend that much money. I do believe they come in closer to 38 millimeters too, and they do come on a stainless steel bracelet on that model. But very cool watch. Let's go ahead and dim the lights and check out the loom on this bad boy. All right, now we'll get this one loomed up. And while I'm looming it here, getting the light on it, I'll tell you guys I have a number of good watches coming this week, and we've got a Seiko Arnie into the channel to finally take a look at one of those here. And we've got a controversial brand, the Jeanneau Ocean Rover 2, which should be really interesting to talk about that watch. So, guys, here is the loom on it. The loom plots on the indices are quite small, but you do in the stick hands. I didn't even talk much about the handset, but the stick hands with the loom out there at the tip. The loom pip on the bezel is like literally like a torch. It's crazy. Total crazy day loom on this thing when you're wearing the watch, which is really fun with that big loom button up there at the 12 o'clock position. So the watch will glow all night long. One of the ways I judge a watch, guys, is I will set it on my nightstand. And if I get up a couple of hours into the evening and I look at the watch and I can read the time, I love the loom. That's perfect loom for me. It doesn't need to glow super bright, and I can read the watch. This watch, you can read it 2 to 3 hours into the evening in the dark. It's no problem at all, so the watch works great. So I'll leave links down below to Bulova watches on Amazon. You guys can definitely go check them out. I don't know if they have these models out there yet, but I'll leave links to where you can find the new surfboard models, the 98A series. So, all right, guys, you like the video, give me a thumbs up down there at the bottom. And if you've not subscribed to the OFD channel yet, please do. Please do. Thanks, guys.